The Good Liars.
The Good Liars.
This is boring. We're boring.
I will die standing in my boots.
Herschel, I got you some condoms.
What made everyone so weird and sad that they had to come out here?
Mr. President, welcome to the show.
We are the Good Liars, and we are going to tell the truth. Trust us.
Welcome to the Good Liars Tell the Truth. I am Jason Selvig.
And I'm Davram Stiefler, and we are the Good Liars.
And we may be the Good Liars, but on this show, we are going to tell the truth. And today, we are going to tell the truth about this upcoming election, Trump versus Biden, the sequel. It's the election that everyone is just so excited about.
I think it's because of the excitement, right? That
It's
has
just
to be
excitement.
the reason people can't stop focusing on it.
Actually, that is not the number one word that people think of when they think of the election, but we'll get to that later. But before we start, Davram, you know, on a previous episode, I was talking about Jeb Bush, right? We showed the Jeb Bush prank. We felt a little bit bad about it. We felt like maybe we hurt Jeb Bush's feelings a little bit with the prank. But do you remember what the most important part of that whole thing was? All of it.
But that we felt a little bad about it? Was that it? That we second guessed ourselves maybe a little bit there? Felt a little bit of emotional turmoil?
Not even close. Not even close. Okay. No. The most important thing was the hat. A guy a couple seats over from me had a Jeb Bush hat. It was a white Jeb Bush hat. It said Jeb, exclamation point. It's just an amazing hat. And I said, if anybody has like a lead on this hat, let me know. Well, I have some big news here.
No way.
Yes.
Wow.
Jeb. So this came in the mail.
Jason, that looks incredible.
It looks great.
Put it back on. Leave it on. Let us enjoy a little bit. That's
so I have
something.
this wonderful Jeb Bush hat, and it came in the mail in a box. There was a letter inside of it. This is the letter. Dear Jason, thank you for mentioning me on your podcast. Enjoy the Jeb hat. Keep being funny, exclamation point. Jeb Bush.
Whoa,
Jeb Bush. Yes.
This gets wilder and wilder.
Yes.
Almost unbelievable.
Almost unbelievable. It's almost like I'm lying about this whole thing, and it's a big elaborate break, but it's not.
Can you read the hat to us?
Jeb.
I just want to hear you read the hat.
Sure.
What it says on the front of it.
The front of the hat says, let me just get it in the camera here. The front of the hat says, Jeb. 2016.
Yes.
2016.
So for everyone, I think you already described it, but for everyone who's just listening, exclamation point is probably the most important part of that word. JEB, exclamation point. Do not say it low energy.
No,
of
it's
all
not a
things,
low energy
do not
thing.
say
It's not a low energy thing.
Yeah.
Hey, but speaking of low energy, let's talk about an election between a 78-year-old and an 81-year-old. Let's talk about the 2024 election. Let's get into the truth about it.
Thrilling.
Yes, thrilling.
Let's turn back to politics here at home. The general election rematch between President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump.
President Biden and former President Trump have now shifted their focus to a general election rematch.
Tonight, a Biden-Trump November rematch, all but certain.
Well, it's official. The 2024 election is a rematch between Donald Trump and Joe Biden, a soon-to-be 78-year-old versus an 81-year-old. Woo! Here's a fact about this election that might make some of our listeners a little upset. This is an election that most people, a majority of Americans, do not want.
Oh, come on.
I'm a stats guy. You know me.
Okay.
I'm a stats guy. And there was a poll, and this is according to a Yahoo News YouGov poll. The number one feeling that comes to mind for Americans when thinking about a Biden-Trump rematch is dread.
Oh, wow. That's a strong emotion.
44% of the respondents said dread. So
I feel like dread is what people feel when they describe like oppressive, like depression, this indescribable feeling of dread.
Yes.
So you could kind of say that this election is putting the entire country into a depressive state.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair. And I want to ask the question to you. Davram. So what is the one word, and you can't say dread because that you can't just be a copycat. You can't hop on the bandwagon here. What is the word that comes to mind for you, Davram, when you hear Trump, Biden, the sequel?
That's a great question. I'm going to go with Lima, Jason. Lima.
Like lima beans?
As in lima beans. I don't know.
Well, actually, I think
Lima
that actually does
beans.
make sense. It
I
does
think it
kind of
does
feel like
too.
lima beans. Like I don't like lima beans.
You don't
I
like
guess I'd eat
lima
'em.
beans?
I don't know the last time I had lima. When's the last time you had lima beans?
Exactly. They're from a long time ago. They were
But I had
never
the
something-
2024 election just 4 years ago. I had this exact same election 4 years ago.
Yeah, but it feels like something I don't need in my life again. It feels like some. Also, you just described these guys they're older guys, right? They're from the lima bean generation.
Yes.
And now
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
they're force feeding us lima beans all over again in 2024. So yeah, I'm sticking with lima.
But I feel like lima beans are like it tastes bad and it's kind of gross and nobody likes them kind of, but you feel like you're getting some like fiber, you're getting some, it's good for your body. It's good for your,
They told
physically.
us it was good for us. I don't think they're that good for you. It's just like
Oh, really? That was just Big
Yeah.
Lima lying to
That
all of
was
us?
Big Lima trying to put themselves at the top of the food pyramid. That's by the way, that's something I want to get into on these podcasts here is Big Lima.
Okay.
Those are
what?
some big beans, right? That's the biggest bean I ever saw.
To me, I don't
Yeah.
call them lima beans. I call them lion beans.
Lion beans.
Yeah.
Which almost wouldn't even tell people what you were talking about, what you were referring to. It almost wouldn't make
Any
enough sense to
Any
follow.
sense.
Right.
Yep. You're right. But let's get into why it's so bad and why people are so kind of upset that this is happening again. And I want to get the obvious out of the way first. We know, and we're assuming if you're watching this, maybe not, I don't know, listening to this, that Donald Trump is very bad. He was a very bad president. He denied the election results.
Name one thing.
COVID.
Okay, you just did.
I know. I have a list. I have a list. I'm going to read.
Yeah.
And I wrote this out, but I don't think I even needed to do it. He denied the election results. COVID-19. A million people died in the U.S. Totally mishandled the pandemic. He suggested dropping a nuke on a hurricane. That's pretty fucking stupid.
And was it the same hurricane that he then distorted the path of? Was that the same
Yes,
one?
that was gonna be my next thing. The Sharpie.
Okay.
He put the Sharpie on the map, which is just like so, like.
But say
the
why
mind
he did
of
that
somebody
for anybody
has-
who doesn't remember.
Okay.
It. Say why he did it.
He changed. There was a map that said the projected path of the hurricane. He tweeted, "Everyone in Florida, Georgia, and like what other state?
Alabama.
And Alabama."
Yeah.
Alabama, be prepared. And then the National Weather Service had to come out and be like, Alabama is not in the path of the storm. Don't worry about this. Then a week later, when he was showing like the map of the storm, he like showed the first map of it, of the projected path, and it had Sharpied into Alabama that there was part of the path.
He like extended the curve of the path like as if it wasn't a computer drawn line and then like a hand drawn Sharpie line just touching Alabama.
It's one of those moments where you're like, you have to be so fucking fragile to like think that mattered. Like you could mess up and like say like a tweet and like obviously he could be like, my tweet was in the right place. Like I wanted people to be prepared. I like messed up the facts there.
Just I've amended my statement because it turns out Alabama's not in the path of the hurricane.
Yeah.
Instead, he thought he'd get away with it too. I can't. It
so
shows
fucking
such a bad judge of like. First of all, what matters, like what you were just describing. Oh, why does it matter? Just correct it. But also such a bad judge of what you can get away with, and all he does, I think, is repeat what he wants people to think. This was an extension of that, I guess. I'll just say it. Now I'll show it. People are gonna believe me, and it just to me like sure you can. You can do an insurrection for everyone to see, but that was almost more damaging to his character.
But he's doing the same thing with the insurrection, which is another thing. Denying on my list of 1,000 things that I was going to say.
Right.
Denying the election results and refusing to peacefully transfer power. Like not only did he incite an insurrection, tell these people to go to the Capitol, denied the election results. After it happened, he didn't sit there while there was a peaceful transfer of power. He left. He left DC. Now, I don't know that he'd be invited to the inauguration at that point anyway, but he just left it. And now what he's doing is he's trying to rewrite history and be like, it wasn't an insurrection. Like, I didn't tell the people to go there. What are you talking about? It's just the same thing. And it's just the, like, I can get away with things. I'm a rich guy.
Why do you think he gets away with it, though? Why do you think he gets away with it?
No one's ever told him no in his whole life. Like, he doesn't accept that because he's just a rich asshole. Is
it also because he's a little funny sometimes?
Well, look.
let me show you something. Let me show you something.
Oh, okay.
So this is something that I saw a little while ago. I can't get it out of my head. And I'm going to pull it up and just get your thoughts on it.
We are a nation that just recently heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat. We are a nation that just recently heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat.
That's like, look, I think that we could talk about Trump being.
That was just my excuse for a segue. I agree with everything you're saying. I don't think being inadvertently funny really excused any of that, but I did want to get that in today's episode.
So before we really jump into the sequel and why it's depressing to a lot of people, just want to say, number one, like, obviously Trump would be terrible for the country right now. And he's proven time and time again that he is not fit, to be a governor. He's not fit to work. Like, he's not fit to, like, be a business owner. He's not fit for any of this stuff. Certainly not fit to be president of the United States. But why is it so depressing for so many people? And why do I have that word? Why do I have the dread for 2024
the big
right
D.
now? The big D. Well, a big concern for a lot of people, according to polls, is age, and specifically with Joe Biden. Now, age, you watch Joe Biden, he seems older than he did 4 years ago. It's noticeable. He seems older.
He is older.
He is older. He is old. He's 81.
It's something we can expect to be the case. But yes, do go on.
It wasn't just a question now. It was a question in 2020. And he had a couple moments where in the early Democratic debates where it looks like he kind of lost his train of thought at the beginning, at the very first debate. And then at another debate, he kind of got jumped on for that. And I'm going to pull up a clip, and this is so awkward. It's very, very awkward. And it's also like why it's an awkward thing to talk about, especially with like the person there.
Barack Obama's vision was not to leave 10 million people uncovered. He wanted every single person in this country covered. My plan would do that. Your plan would not.
They do not have to buy in. They do not have to buy in.
You just said that. You just said that 2 minutes ago. You just said 2 minutes ago that they would have to buy in. You said they would have to buy in.
Have to buy in. If she qualifies for Medicaid,
are you forgetting what you said 2 minutes ago?
Are you
forgetting already what you said just 2 minutes ago? I mean, I can't believe that you said 2 minutes ago that they had to buy in, and now you're saying they don't have to buy. You're forgetting that.
I said anyone.
That was so awkward.
It's hard not to make excuses for Biden as he gets older. I'm surprised sometimes how few of these moments people have on these debate stages. Like, they are kind of remarkably, as bad as this stuff goes sometimes, they're like kind of well prepared, at least not to have the bad moment. You also can't say that he's not old.
Right. So we had a nice talk with Joe Biden a couple months after this. We saw Joe Biden, and before we did the prank with him, this like that interaction at the debate stuck with me, and I was like, I wonder if Joe Biden's with it. I had the thought, and this is from our movie The Supporters.
John Kerry. John Kerry is the ideal of statesmanship and public service.
Mr. Vice President, welcome to the show. My wife recently left me. She's divorcing me. What can I do to get her back? What advice could you give somebody like me to get her back?
I'll talk to you afterwards, okay?
Well, could we just get this out right now? Because we're live doing the show right now.
No, we're live.
If we could just could you please answer the question?
I'm beginning to see why your wife left you.
Come on, man.
Your wife left you.
Oh man.
Okay. Joe Biden was having all these questions about his age. I interrupt him for marriage advice. My character interrupted him. I was so mad that I didn't even realize that was me at that moment. So I'm just that.
Or you
intense
didn't
of an
realize you
actor.
were different from whomever that was.
I guess that's a better way of putting it. Yeah. So Joe Biden had a kind of good one-liner at me there.
So yeah, just to describe it for the listeners, you stood up and said, "Welcome to the show," and you asked some marriage advice, and then you kept pressing it, and then eventually he said, "I can see why."
Because I'm a good journalist. Because I'm a good journalist.
You're a good journalist. Yeah. And he said, "I can see why your wife left you," and he did not put up with your malarkey.
He did not put up.
He
with my malarkey.
absolutely wiped the floor with you. Or your character. Sorry, your character.
Yeah, I don't remember.
This is not an attack on Jason at all, but your character was absolutely obliterated. Like, how did that make you feel? Even though you're not the character, you must know the character pretty well.
Yeah. I'll drop that bit for now so I can actually talk about it. I remember standing up for this and interrupting him, and then him like looking up at me and making eye contact with me, and me thinking, this guy knows what's going on right now. This is not a guy who's confused about anything. Like he knows what's happening. And
how could he have known what was happening?
Well, he didn't know what was happening, but you can't blame him for that. You can't blame him.
Totally on the
that's
ball
fair.
and not have known what was happening in that moment.
That's fair. But it was a moment where I was like, okay, it was almost a moment where I was like kind of sold on him for that election. I wasn't worried about his age in the 2020 election because of that interaction being like, oh, he was with it a little bit there.
So I'm with you to some degree there, but are you gonna say that later in 2020 when he and Trump were debating, you were like, he's got this, no problem. I don't even need to worry about this?
No.
Really? You felt fine about it?
No, I'm agreeing with you. Sorry, I didn't. Maybe I didn't understand the phrasing of the question. I was worried. Of course, I was worried. You
said you were sold on him being president. You were not worried about his mental fitness after this interaction you had. And I'm saying later
after that
in the election cycle when they were debating, were you just like eating some popcorn waiting for Biden to crush
I was
the debate?
very nervous. Everyone was nervous. Yes, Of course I was. I mean, it's like there's two Bidens, and you see him be like very, very like, where's my hat? A little.
Oh, I thought you were doing an impression. You looked so confused. Where did I put that thing again?
No, yeah, I know. It's like now you can put a supercut of me looking like an idiot, just like But the during the debates, like I had moments where I was like, I'm worried about that he's going to be able to pull these facts out, and it's something that I worry about for 2024 too. Like if you have somebody who's debating Trump, you want somebody who's going to be able to call him on his bullshit in the moment and then have the actual facts to back it up. And Joe Biden, like he can call him, he can say, "Yeah, come on, man, shut up."
Come on,
maybe
man.
that resonates more.
Did you get one of those? You got one of those, right?
Come on, man. Come on, man.
Yeah. Come on, man. Yeah.
He said he talked to me after. We didn't stay, unfortunately, for that. But that would have been nice to have a little one-on-one.
Calling Joe Biden a liar. Wow.
I'm not calling him a liar. I'm saying we didn't stay.
Got it.
That's on us.
He was probably standing around in the parking lot like,
he was
where's this guy?
We're not going to the next event. This guy, his marriage could be falling apart. But I want somebody who can debate Donald Trump. But I also think if there's somebody who could destroy him in a debate, like if something happens and Joe Biden decides he's not going to run and there's another candidate who could just destroy him, he's just not going to debate. He just wouldn't do it. He's a coward. He wouldn't do it.
Right.
He'd be like, I'm not doing it, and make up some BS reason, and he just decide not to.
He's never followed a rule out of obligation. I mean, he'll draw a new hurricane path if it suits him. He's not going to participate in a debate he's worried about losing. And I'm with you. Like it's strange because with Trump, you need someone who can like pull out the facts and call him on his bullshit in the moment, because you're not going to beat him playing his own game. We watched all the Republicans, Marco Rubio trying to, what was it? Be like, insinuate that Trump had a small dick or something like that.
Yeah.
Trying to play Trump's like mudslinging games, and everyone was just kind of like, oh, Marco, like that's not you.
I thought it was kind of funny when he was doing it, to be honest. But then Trump, of course, goes on the debate stage with a bigger audience. It's just like, there's nothing the matter with that, folks. I guarantee you.
Right,
and he like points down at his dick, and you're like, this.
Can't believe
in the moment, you're like, there's no way this guy's going to be president. It's funny to watch the Republican train wreck, but joke's on us.
Yep.
So there's questions about Biden's age. 2020, like I said, in that moment, I was hurt. Obviously, my character was very hurt. I'll go back into that.
He punched you with his words right in the belly.
And then later that night, I got punched for real.
Yeah.
A little stomach punch.
You're referring to the Tom Steyer event, which we spoke about it in a previous episode.
But so it was in those moments where I was kind of like, all right, he's going to be okay. And guess what? He proved me wrong. Any worries I had about his ability to win, he won. He won the election.
Right.
So what can you say? Now there's been questions about Trump and his age. And this happened in, I guess it was February.
Deleted and destroyed all of it, because of, by the way, they never report the crowd on January 6th. You know, Nikki Haley, did you know they destroyed all of the information, all of the evidence, everything? Deleted and destroyed all of it, because of lots of things. Like Nikki Haley is in charge of security. We offered her 10,000 people, soldiers, National Guard. So,
in Trump's defense here, I will say, nobody talks about Nikki Haley being responsible for the National Guard on January 6th. He's right about that. People don't talk about, and that's probably the first time that's ever been talked about.
Right.
So, congrats to Trump. Why? Because he's trying to talk about Nancy Pelosi, and he's messing it up.
Right.
And he's messing it
up.
up.
But was the beginning of that about Hillary Clinton? He was talking about destroying emails? Was that what he was saying at the beginning? Did he confuse her with both Hillary Clinton and Nancy Pelosi in that clip? I
think he might have been saying, I mean, you're always trying to figure out what's going on in Trump's stupid brain. But like, I think he was saying, if the emails thing was even mentioned, he was just going to say emails were deleted. Oh, by the way, January 6th, remember they deleted footage from there, which didn't really happen. Like he was just trying to connect the two things there. And then
you have to expect him to just get his Sharpie out and start just making his own reality.
People say I said that. I didn't say that.
I didn't say that. Look what I said. Look, blah, blah, blah.
So Biden kept getting all of questions kept coming up. There was a special counsel report. We said he was a well-meaning elderly man with memory problems.
Right.
He was facing more and more questions. He had that kind of disastrous press conference in response to that report. And then he had the State of the Union. And the State of the Union, he did a pretty good job. I don't know if you saw it, but he was very forceful, and he was very.
I want to congratulate Joe Biden for winning the presidency with that speech. I think I can say that for sure.
Yes.
Did you feel like people celebrated a little too much after that?
Well, the bar was so low, and partially because Republicans.
Baby.
Yeah, Republicans are like he can't remember anything, and then he goes out there and does like. He reads the teleprompter. He mumbles a couple things. It wasn't like Obama out there. Like there was no range of emotions, you know.
Right.
He's never been a great orator.
Not as good as you.
No, I know.
Or
I was
orator.
I thought he did a fine job. Yelled a lot. He did a lot of his.
I think that's
"We're
what
gonna
people
do
want
it."
to see, though. They want to see that he has like some wind in the pipes.
Right. Well, my question is, we talked about this before. There was the whole Ezra Klein podcast article that he did where he was like, I think Democrats should replace Biden at the convention. He wasn't going out, he wasn't campaigning, and now he's doing more of that. And he had this State of the Union. Do you think the State of the Union going into the 2024 election, do you think that's a good thing? Or do you think it would have been better off for Democrats if he would have done worse and then they would have like had a fire under their belly to like have a plan B with things?
Oh, I see what you're asking. Is it a good thing in that perhaps replacing Biden would be a good thing and this would stand in the way of that? A solid State of the Union?
Or at least having a plan. At least having a plan. Because he is getting older. And
I have to believe they have a plan. I don't know how far of a backup plan it is. I have to believe they've thought about this. I have to say, it's such a strange thing because it does put off the questions for a little bit longer. But we're talking about several months. So much happens. So you don't get to just be like 5 months from now, you can't say, but remember the State of the Union? So it both matters a lot, to your point. If it buys in the time, that means a backup plan doesn't take shape. But it also means absolutely nothing in the general election.
Right. Like, because he did, I thought he did a great job last year, the State of the Union.
Right.
And he was kind of trying to emulate that again this year. And it didn't mean anything, in February when people were questioning things. So I don't know. And to go back to the polling and the dread that people are feeling. Nervous.
So
nervous.
I don't know that I returned the question. So Americans feel dread about the election. I feel Lima. What do you feel? What's your word?
I don't know, because I wish I could say dread. I fear, I guess, is the word. I'll say fear, because my fear is, and I don't want to get any flack from people being like, hey, Joe Biden is the candidate. You got to get behind him because you have to, because that's our only thing.
It's kind of like shut the fuck up and don't tell me what to do.
Yeah, exactly. A little bit. Where it's like I can see supporting Joe Biden and like being, if that's what's happening and he's proving that he's going to be a good candidate, and the State of the Union was a great step towards that. But like, people are not blind, and like, people see somebody that sometimes just like doesn't seem like they should be president. Like, it's hard. You can't tell Americans like, you're not seeing what you're seeing. Like, he is an elderly guy, and you can't just lie to people and tell them that he's not. Like, he's actually not.
Right.
So,
but at the end of the day, you have an election between a guy who fell going up the stairs to a plane in Joe Biden and a guy who nearly fell going down the walkway of a plane in Trump.
I would have.
But you'd like
just a little fact check here. It was from a stage. It was from a stage that Trump did his little shuffle down.
Apologies. Yeah.
Okay.
Fact check.
So maybe the similarities aren't as much as you thought, Davram. But I don't know. So I think it's okay. And if you're out there and you're worried about this, I think it's okay to be worried. And I hope there is some sort of a plan B that is being thought about right now, because I think a majority of Americans don't like Joe Biden, and that's not going to change. And maybe.
So what would the plan be? Are you saying that you hope that things change and he doesn't end up being the nominee, or just that if he falters more and it becomes necessary to replace him, that there is a clear path? I find myself feeling similarly, but then I can never put exact words to the thoughts about what I hope happens. Also, you just mentioned the Ezra Klein piece, and he was very clear on like, Biden is a capable leader and a good president, but is he up to the task of campaigning? And what's so shitty about trying to answer that question is that we have to watch him campaign to find out. and then
and
we
he's
end
been
up
okay. I mean, he's been okay, and
Yeah.
he's putting himself out there. It seems like he's trying to answer the critics. And I do want to say again, 2020, we were worried about him. Settle for Biden, the whole deal. We thought that it was the wrong thing. It could have been Hillary all over again, losing to Trump, and then eating our fucking words. Like Joe Biden proved us wrong. He did it.
Yeah, he
won.
publicly humiliated you.
Publicly humiliated me. But yeah, so like I don't want to like say it's like we're on a sinking ship, because I don't know if that's true. I just like I think people are worried, and I think more people are worried than want to talk about it. And I think we should be able to talk about it, because
that is true. People are clearly uncomfortable in expressing their worry, which in and of itself is a scary thing when you feel like,
yes.
Oh boy, there's this thing bubbling under the surface and we can't talk about it. How is anything going to be done about it?
Right. And it's
I
like,
don't know the answer.
And of course it's like the Twitter X, like liberal, bubble that we're a part of partially. People are just like jumping on people for asking questions about stuff. And it's like,
right.
You can't tell the average American who's watching on TV that like this is Obama. This is like somebody who's like filled with energy and ready for a long campaign fight.
Right. It's not something we can expect. It's dread
terrifying.
Works. Dread does work.
Oh, 40% of Americans like, hey,
dread works.
It's great. It's great. So this election, 2024, is a sequel of 2020. Trump, Biden, part 2, the sequel. I thought it would be a really fun thing to do, Davram, to ask the question, what movie sequel is this like? If you had to compare the 2024 election to a movie sequel, what would it be? What would be that movie? I
thought about this. You gave me a little heads up that we might be talking about this.
Yeah.
So I watched Leprechaun and Leprechaun 2
you
in the past 24 hours.
What the fuck? Jennifer Aniston, right? Is in the original?
That's right.
Leprechaun.
Hello? I need the police. This is an emergency.
Now, I liken it to the 2020 and the 2024 elections.
Okay.
Because, let's be honest. Like Leprechaun 1 didn't need to be made, right? Nobody needed the first one to come out. I mean, sure, you've got it's funny and it's scary. You got a leprechaun. He loves shining shoes. He's a cobbler by trade. He really wants to get his gold back.
Yeah.
He wants to get his gold back because it's been
clear
stolen
character
from him.
motivations. That's like the bedrock of a fantastic story.
The only thing, not to spoil it, but this is at the very beginning. The only thing that can stop him is a 4-leaf clover.
Oh wow!
So did this need to happen? Did Leprechaun need to be made? I mean, I think I could safely say no. We didn't need this movie, but Jennifer Aniston. She brought a lot of life to it. At the end of the day, the leprechaun is defeated, at least for now. Did we need this movie? I don't think we did, but it was worthwhile. It was the first one. We didn't know what it was going to be like. It was a new experience. So sure, it had value for that. Now we go to Leprechaun 2, right?
Okay. Yes.
Okay, now did we need Leprechaun 2? I can safely say no. There was almost nothing redeeming about it. I guess to wrap up the Leprechaun allegory here, I don't know that we needed either of these. I don't know that either of these were movies that we needed. I think we can safely say that the second one we really, really didn't need.
I want to add something to this, maybe that helps this allegory, as you said. Is that what you said? Is that the word you used?
That's what I said. I don't know if
I don't think that makes
It's
sense.
definitely what I said.
But in Leprechaun 1, what did the world get out of it? You got Jennifer Aniston out there, and then she was able to, she was booking parts now, and she eventually made it on Friends.
Right.
And everyone loves
what
Jennifer
year?
Aniston.
What year? You're great at this, by the way. I know this. You'll probably get this within a year. Yeah.
I don't know. What
you always get within a year. I know you're going to do it.
1993.
1993, exactly.
Heyo. Is that real? Am I right?
Yes, you are correct.
All right.
Leprechaun 2, They Wasted No Time, 1994.
Oh, all right. And Leprechaun 5, which is Leprechaun in the Hood, that's the only one I've seen of the series. Can I finish my thought, though, please? Can I finish?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Please.
We got Jennifer Aniston out into the world. And in 2020, we got Donald Trump out of the White House, where he was damaging clothes.
Yes.
I don't know how that relates to, because I don't even know who's in this cast of the second one. So I don't know if anything works with that, or maybe the leprechaun is Trump.
You know Jack,
I don't know.
Jack Klompus from Seinfeld?
Who was he on Seinfeld?
He's one of Morty's friends at the
Oh,
old
yeah,
folks'
yeah,
home.
yeah.
He gives Jerry the pen.
Take the pen. I cannot take it. Take the pen. Are you sure? I'm positive.
Yeah.
He's in it.
Okay. All right.
So that's what the second one has to offer, whereas the first one has Jennifer Aniston.
Okay. Very well put. Very well put.
I assume you kind of had a think about movies and sequels.
I did. And I will tell you mine. If 2024 were a sequel, it would be Speed 2 Cruise Control, which is a terrible name for a movie, because Speed 1, of course, there is a bus that can't go under, 55 miles per hour? And otherwise it'll explode. And you gotta race through the city, you gotta get on the interstate, you gotta race, blah, blah, blah. Cruise control is just like you put your car in cruise control because there's nobody on the highway, you're just kind of zoning out, cruise control, whatever. It's a pun because it's on a cruise ship, but it's a terrible pun. So, terrible name for it. And also, the movie just fails in every single way. Trump and Biden right now, they are cruising to the nominations. They really have not had any fight put up along the way.
Right,
So this is
right.
Okay. So
one of those laid back cruise situations. I want to also say a lot of, like, especially elderly people, like, they love cruises. They love sitting back and cruising.
Yeah. So the pun actually works with the
It does.
For
the
Trump
election.
Biden to cruise control. So, which I think is actually a good name for it, because it implies a terrible sequel, and it is exactly what you just said.
Now they can't change course.
Seems odd.
So they cruise their way in, but now, just like Speed 2, this has horrible favorability ratings. People dread it. We said 40% of the people are dreading this. On Rotten Tomatoes right now, Speed 2 Cruise Control has 4%, which is, Trump and Biden are not that bad, but they're not good. They're under 50% favorability.
Can you guess what Leprechaun 2 has?
No. Judging by your face. Come on. I was going to guess.
Oh, I thought you went no, like you were giving up on it.
No, I knew that I was too high.
Darn it. I'm sorry.
Damn it. Probably would have said 7%. Okay. Let me get back to this bullshit about Speed 2.
Yes.
Okay. Speed 1 had Keanu Reeves, Sandra Bullock, Dennis Hopper, Jeff Daniels. It's a classic. The moment where Jeff Daniels realizes he's going to die. It's just one of the best, oh shit, I'm about to die moments in movie history. Speed 2 has Jason Patrick. Do you know who Jason Patrick is?
No.
Okay, that's my point. No one knows who fucking Jason Patrick is because this movie sucked. Trump Biden one it had a lot of stuff, not good stuff, but it had COVID-19, election denial, a motivated,
all the ingredients of an
all of this
exciting,
stuff,
suspense-filled plot.
I'm saying all of that stuff equaled a motivated Democratic base, which you do not have now.
So I think you've made a great allegory here.
Are you trying to say analogy? Is that what you're trying to say?
Misuse a word. Yeah, I think I was looking for the word analogy, but sometimes, like Donald Trump, I'll just lean into something I'm doing that's incorrect.
I never said that. And if you look at the definition of allegory, it's scribbled in here.
Right.
It says a sequel to a movie related to a presidential
I'm gonna sue
election.
Merriam-Webster until I get the definition changed. I just wanted to say that I agree with everything you said about speed 2, cruise control. The one thing I want to say is the 2024 election does have a little bit of the we're stuck on this bus going 55 miles per hour and we're not allowed to jump off vibe.
That is good. But the boat there was a similar thing with speed too. So yes.
Anyway, get me off this fucking ride is my point.
Okay. And it's a boat. You could just jump off the boat.
You won't want to miss. The boat.
We're gonna cry!
The last thing I want to say about this before moving into a moment of truth, Davram, is I just want to talk briefly about what you expected from Biden in 2020. Did you think that he was going to run for a second term in 2020?
No, I thought he would take some time with his family and gear up for 2028.
You thought he'd take a year off, come back when he's 85?
4 years off, come back with all the vim and vigor of your favorite 85-year-old. No, I really thought if you had asked me even a year ago, I would have thought, of course, the Democrats are going to be getting somebody in the public eye to the degree where America will be primed and ready to kind of flip-flop those, get some name recognition going and some positive press so that someone else could kind of slot in there and it wouldn't be a shock. But we are so far past that I guess I've given up on that idea.
Yeah. To me, I thought that it was kind of an unstated thing that he was going to just do the one term, and his whole goal was just to get Trump out of office. Okay, a moment of truth. Sometimes sequels surprise you. Sometimes they're better than the original. Star Wars had The Empire Strikes Back. Batman Begins had The Dark Knight. Maybe this election will be a surprise. Maybe Biden will be reinvigorated for the fight, the battle for the soul of the country, as he likes to say. Maybe we're wrong to be worried. I mean, we were worried about Biden in 2020. We did settle for Biden, and he proved us wrong. Maybe he has what it takes to take down Trump again. Maybe the voters will see Trump and remember what an incompetent, narcissistic moron he was and choose Biden over him. But most of the time, sequels are worse than the original. Saturday Night Fever had Staying Alive. Anchorman had Anchorman 2. And that kind of feels like where this election is going. Two pitchers that have lost their fastball and an electorate who want a pitcher, not a belly itcher. People, that was a Davram's joke. People don't like either one of these guys. There are some people that love Donald Trump. There's a small portion that love Joe Biden. The number is definitely lower. But most people don't like either one of them. It's a scary place to be if you're worried about what would happen if Trump is elected again. So now we just have to wait as these two ships slowly head on a collision course on cruise control.
We're gonna cry! We gotta stop the shit!
Davram, what do you think's gonna happen?
Watch Leprechaun 2.
Okay.
And read between the lines.
And we have a solution. We can stop this whole thing and guarantee Trump doesn't win. We just need, what's the number, Davram?
$40 million.
$40 million. So send us $40 million and we guarantee a Trump loss. Guarantee. All right, well, that does it for this episode of The Good Liars Tell the Truth. If you want a special bonus episode, go to herohero.co/thegoodliars. You've also got a feature-length movie there on Hero Hero, so please, you'll be supporting us and getting content you can't see anyplace else. Davram, before we go, any words of wisdom?
If your dreams don't scare you, they're too small.
Wow. I had a dream last night that I was attacked by a giant hand. So
it did scare you, so it wasn't too small.
It wasn't too small. All right, that does it for The Good Liars Tell the Truth. Have a good one, everybody. You interrupt Donald Trump in the middle of his speech and say, he's a cult leader, he's a cult leader, he's a cult leader.
You're a cult leader! Derek was right! Admit it! Derek was right!
And you got shoved multiple times by Trump
Yes.
supporters and kind of ripped at.